Ahoy there. Today on the Red Sea, bosses of Reddit. What's the weirdest reason why you had to fire an employee? Our company had a corporate apartment we used mostly for out-of-town clients when they came in for meetings. I usually handled the maintenance of it, monitoring the cleaning service, setting up fresh flowers, fruit basket etc. for whenever it was going to be used. Eventually I got promoted and assigned those duties to my new assistant. One day she called in sick. So when I found out a client was in town last minute, I offered him the apartment for the night and met him there to show him where everything was, since he'd never stayed there before. Imagine my and his surprise when I opened the front door to find my assistant and her boyfriend engaging in a little friendly game of oral sex on the living room carpet. After I slammed the door shut and hurriedly got him in a cab to a hotel, I went back to work and listened to my voicemail. She had called to apologize for having lied about being sick. No apologies about the live six show we just witnessed. Just sorry, I was not really sick. I just wanted a day off. Needless to say, that was the first of many days off for her. As a restaurant manager, caught a dishwasher making sweet love to a raw chicken breast in the bathroom. It was so awkward that I wish I had not even caught him. Nurse here. First job was in a nursing home. One resident told me there was a devil in the window and it kept scaring her. I thought dementia. Walked in the room just as a person in a devil mask slammed themselves against the window. I ran outside and tackled them and pulled off the mask a la Scooby-Doo. It was one of the CNAs. He thought that giving her a heart attack would be fair retribution for her being a little cranky when he took vital signs. Fired him on the spot, even though I did not have the authority to do so. It stuck. We had a kid that worked at the deli in the supermarket from my hometown who was fired after he ate all the skin off of every rotisserie chicken they had. In the 1990s I was managing the snow making department and supervised the crew for a popular ski resort. We worked 7 PM 7 AM and by our first break, about 10 PM, everything in our area was closed, so you had to bring your lunch, snacks or anything else, or you were up Malarkey Creek. We had a new hire named Nino who was a huge Samoan guy. Nino was a damn hard worker when he was not drunk. He showed up several times completely trashed and it sent him home. Employee housing which was within crawling distance. This really did not bother me because we had a badass crew and the slack was easily picked up. Sometimes it was more trouble than it was worth having him there because of the crazy malarkey he would do. Once, he drained a water line that held about 7,500 gallons right onto the middle of a popular intermediate run. It was 6 AM when I discovered the massive glacier he had created. I had to go get a grooming cat and attempt to break it up before we opened. I roped off the area and finished clearing the ice at about 11 AM. Well, after opening, I covered for his ass because I felt bad for him and told the hill manager that it was a busted hose that caused it. This was strike 1 for him. Strike 2 was when he decided it would be okay to try clean the inside of every grooming cat interior with lemon pledge, seeds, hand controls and all, including the windows. It took 3 hours to clean up that waxy, hazy malarkey. Strike 3 was one of the most WTF incidents I have ever seen in the workplace. Nino showed up for work sober for once, but started asking if anyone had any food. He has not been to the store and had nothing in his shack in employee housing. At lunch, midnight-ish, he was nowhere to be found and did not show up when the break was over. We chalked it up to him going somewhere to get drunk. At about 4 AM in the only snowmaker near the main lodge at the bottom of the mountain, when I hear an explosion somewhere near one of the chairlifts. I head towards where I heard this explosion, and it was not a pop or a bang. It was a window shattering, car alarm tripping explosion. As I near the area where I heard this blast come from, I see the flashlights from the security guards waving in all directions. I get to the chairlift and see this large naked man covered in what looks like malarkey and blood is flowing from his face. As I dismount my snowmobile I realize it's Nino. He's standing there naked and badly hurt. He starts screaming at me to help as he covers his face. There are ducking chili beans everywhere. I see the security guards running towards us and him on my radio with first aid getting the EMTs on the way. Him trying to look at Nino and calm him down. His face is a mess of blood, glass chili beans and a corn chip shaped piece of sheet metal embedded in the side of his head. The security guys are here now and they're as bewildered as I am. We get Nino down to the day lodge deck where we lay him down on a rubber doormat. EMTs show up and get him packaged for transport. As I go to leave the day lodge I notice there are chili beans all over the place. Little clusters here and there. Chili beans on the roof, windows and peppered all over the snow. I follow the intensity of the bean blast to the main chairlift nearest the lodge. The lift shack, which is the indoor control room for our chairlift. For you non-skiers slash boaters out there, looks like it had been bombed. This ISN not some old 1950s plywood lift shack either. This is a multi-million-dollar high-speed quad lift shack. The windows are gone. The door is hanging on by only its lower hinge. Chili beans everywhere. And blood. It smelled like Taco Bell and burnt electronics. That fried damp smell. With cheese. The control panel is missing knobs and LCD panels are shattered. The 3x5 aluminum window frame was blown out and laying on the ground in the loading area of the lift. Whatever happened here was big. The lift was shut down until they could repair it. I went to visit Nino at a nearby hospital. He tells me it goes down like this. He was looking for food, so he went to He Lodge and found a can of chili beans by the kitchen loading dock. Nino could not get in to cook them, so he decides to go to the lift shack and see if they had a microwave in there, which many did. His clothes were wet, so he turned on the heater and hung his clothes up to get dry while he ate. There was not a microwave in there, but finds an old space heater. This was a 1970s exposed element, like a toaster. Heater. I had used it myself hundreds of times in the past, and it kicked ass. Well, Nino turns the heater onto its back and places the 3-gallon can of chili beans on it, apparently unopened. Nino plops his naked ass into one of the chairs as his beans cook and his clothes dry. Nino falls asleep. Chili beans everywhere. He cannot hear. His eyes are swollen shut, and he has a piece of metal in his head. He then tells me he did not know where he was or how he got there. He said he could not even remember who he was. Nino must have been out for a minute because it took me a couple to get to him, and he was still in Narnia when I approached him that night. I did not really have to fire him. I do not think I legally could under the circumstances anyways. Nino never came back. He left all his malarkey in his employee shack and did not even come to pick up his last check. To sum it up, almost death by chili beans. Sister had to fire my aunt. She got her a job at a call center for a cable provider. Aunt decided she did not want to work for a few days. Called in and said her husband died. Sister found out when co-workers were pooling money to send flowers. It did not end well. Uncle never knew he died. I was a manager at a Jimmy John's some years ago. At this Jimmy John's we had a mentally handicapped 17-year-old kid who we basically paid to just clean the tables. Nice enough kid, but he had one slight problem. He would sneak away during the shift and masturbate in the bathroom. One night we had some friends of co-workers in to eat, and one of them walked in. Oh, this kid in action. I know what you are thinking. He was probably bent over the sink, trying to get a quick tug out before anyone noticed his absence. No. He was sitting there ass on the floor, going to town on himself like nobody's business with his pants and underwear pulled down and only around one leg. So he freaks out, runs up, and tells me. And we all actually have a nice laugh about it. I was probably 20 or 21 at the time and found this quite hilarious. After we had a good laugh about it, I told him we were lucky it was someone our co-workers knew, because he could potentially be in a lot of trouble. He said he understood and promised never to do it again. Fast forward to a week later. It's the lunch shift on a Sunday. We are slammed with deliveries and in-shop customers when I hear a very irate woman yelling, "I need a manager." She explains to me how her 15-year-old son just walked into the bathroom and saw one of our employees naked and masturbating. As if there is any question who it is. I start apologizing profusely. Once the kid got dressed and came out of the bathroom, she saw that he was handicapped. She lightened up quite a bit. I really do not even remember all the things she was yelling at me, but as you can imagine, she was pretty hot. I gave her $115 worth of gift certificates as well as the home number to the franchise owner, since the kid got hired because his parents went to church with the owner. After I got the lady and her kid dealt with, I called the kid's mom and told him he cannot work there anymore. She was furious and just told me the locks on the doors must be confusing to him and to teach him how to use them. So I said, why do not you just teach him how to not jack off in public? I mean, let's face it, if I cannot jack off on the clock. Why should he? I used to manage a liquor store. The weirdest firing I ever had to do was also the fastest. We hired a rather rotund young man to be an evening clerk. Being a portly fellow myself, I saw no reason he could not manage the stocking and other physical parts of the job as well as I did. Evidently he did not share that opinion. I knew there was going to be trouble when he started off his first day by trying to tell me what to do. And I mean within the first few minutes of his shift. When I asked him why he thought he was in charge, he explained that, since he was older than me, I should do what he says. I was 22 at the time. He was 23. After explaining to him that, actually, the person with 3 years of experience and the position of manager does get to tell the new hire how to do his job, I proceeded to list out his duties, then asked him to restock our coolers. These were about 9 doors wide, with a walk-in refrigerated area behind. 30 minutes into what should have been a 10-minute job, I went to see how he was doing. I discovered that not only had he not stocked any beer, he had rearranged the cases into a makeshift chair, complete with a back and arms, and was just sitting in the 33-degree cooler like he was the cold miser in a Christmas special. When I asked WTF he was doing, he explained that he needed to rest because he was tired from moving all the beer cases, the ones he had rearranged to make a beer throne. I called the owner, explained I thought it'd be better off finishing the shift on my own, and gave the lord of the cooler his walking papers. To this day, he's still the most WTF employee I have ever had, or seen. To sum it up, new hire decided to give orders to manager, then build beer thrown in cooler, got fired in less than an hour. He took pictures of another co-worker pooping and posted it on Facebook. The pooper wanted to press charges for sexual harassment. These were guys in their 30s. A teacher at my school was fired for telling her class about her vagina and how beautiful it was. She taught mathematics. I worked at a Sonic in high school. I was promoted to night manager. First thing my boss had me do was call my grandparents to fire them. "Grandpa, I have to fire you and grandma." His reply, "I love you and I understand why this is happening. Tell your cocksucker of a boss that I'll be in to work tomorrow and he can fire me himself." First time I ever heard him cuss. I witnessed an amazing termination. I work for a staffing agency with 2 different divisions, one industrial temporary and one more managerial level. I was in the middle of interviewing a guy who had just walked in claiming to have been laid off from a company the industrial temporary side works with. During the interview one of my coworkers from the temporary side walked through and screamed, "Damn it Ray, we fired you this morning. Get out of the building." Apparently the day before the guy pulled a knife on his boss, and his boss defended himself with a piece of lead pipe. They kept fighting and ran into the parking lot going at each other until quite a crowd formed. No one was seriously hurt, but you cannot just try to knife people in the parking lot. When I asked him why he pulled a knife he said it was because his new boss was acting like he was better than me when I'm twice his age. The Reddit Cove is borrowing this post for a split second to ask, if you are enjoying the video leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. To sum it up, guy pulls a knife on boss. Boss strikes back with a lead pipe, gets fired. Guy comes back the next day to try to interview for a job with the same company. She sent us a text that she was skipping her shift to do cocaine. She then sent us a text immediately afterward that the previous text was meant for someone else and she was resigning. At my pizza place, I had to fire a guy because he called in sick and then ordered pizza for a party using his employee discount. Idiot. When I was 17 I worked at Wendy's, and one night one of my coworkers had a really bad asthma attack in the back room. The manager insisted that no one call for an ambulance because the company would be liable. After about 10 minutes of this girl gasping for breath on the floor I picked her up and took her to the ER where they gave her a shot of something to fix it. When I got back to work they fired me for leaving during my shift. I did not even fight it. That was the worst job I have ever had. Whoa. Hey, take it easy, it is the end of the video. Do not worry, there are many more. Come aboard the ship for more trips. Like and subscribe for more posts from the Reddit Cove. Thanks for watching.